whoa, hold on, you're gonna give me a half a donut? I want a whole donut. Hey guys, it's Olivia and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a really long time since I made a video. It's been almost a year and I really apologize for that. Mostly the reason I didn't post has to do with COVID for a couple of different reasons. One, when COVID started, my boyfriend started working from home and he used the room/desk I filmed at, so I didn't have anywhere to film and I was never home by myself, and for some stupid reason I felt weird like trying to film with him there, so that's really dumb, but I did. And then I have an online business and because of COVID it blew up, so I was busy shipping 250 orders a week. I was insanely busy. I'm one of the fortunate and very blessed people that COVID didn't have a negative impact on my job. Fast forward to the end of summer, beginning of fall, my boyfriend and I moved from Los Angeles to San Diego in with my parents because since he was working from home and he didn't need to go into Beverly Hills every day for work, there was no need to be wasting money on rent. So we decided to move on home with my parents and save some money. Again, I apologize for being MIA and I just wanted to thank you all for watching my first video and all the amazing comments. I'm hoping this next video is as popular as the last and you guys enjoy this one as well. So for my third video, I thought I would do it about autistic meltdowns. It's something that affects me on somewhat of a regular basis and I know it affects tons of people on the spectrum, so I thought I would kind of talk about what an autistic meltdown is and what it looks like in me and my experiences with meltdowns and kind of just share what an autistic meltdown looks like in an adult female. So let's jump into what is an autistic meltdown. It's basically like a complete loss of control of yourself due to your brain being completely overwhelmed and overloaded. A lot of times it can be due to sensory reasons. That's not super the case for me. Mostly it's due to stress and change, because I hate change. I know a lot of people on the spectrum also hate change. A meltdown can be preceded with signs that a meltdown is coming, such as stimming or you're kind of shutting down so you stop talking. For me, I start to feel really weird and kind of get like jittery. I also start breathing a little heavier, kind of like I'm gonna have a panic or anxiety attack. Autistic meltdowns can happen out of completely nowhere, and a lot of times someone on the spectrum, when they're experiencing a meltdown, they don't even know where it came from or why it's happening. When an autistic person is having a meltdown, usually nothing can help, especially like reprimanding or scolding like they're throwing a tantrum, because even though an autistic meltdown often looks like a child throwing a temper tantrum, it's completely not even close to being the same. With a child throwing a temper tantrum, it's usually because, you know, something didn't go how they wanted it and they want their way, or they want something and they can control the meltdown. So if they suddenly get what they wanted, they can stop. With an autistic meltdown, that person on the spectrum cannot control themselves and they can't stop the meltdown. Now that we know what an autistic meltdown is, I thought I would share my experiences when I have a meltdown. Like I said, I can feel it coming on and I usually start to feel jittery and heavy breathing and just feel really weird, and then usually nothing can stop it. Once it's coming, it's coming. It's like a tidal wave, it's like a tornado, it's like a hurricane. You can't stop it, you just gotta ride with it. If I try to stop it, it just makes it worse. I will usually be crying super heavily, crying a lot. It looks like I'm a toddler having a meltdown. I'm just like bawling my eyes out. I can't talk, which goes back to my selective mutism. So somebody can be asking me what's wrong, how can I help, and I just can't tell them. The words physically get stuck. They feel like they're stuck in my throat and I can't express what I'm going through or what's happening. I kind of feel like I'm trapped in my body because, like I said, you can't control it and I can't tell somebody what's wrong, and I just feel like I'm trapped and my brain's racing, it's overwhelmed, it's overstimulated, and it's just like having a complete freak out, my brain. It's like totally just like shutting down like a computer. and it's useless. When I'm having a meltdown, I usually want to be alone. I don't want anybody near me. I just need to work it out. Don't bother me, don't touch me, definitely don't touch me, don't talk to me, leave me alone. I'm just gonna go to my room, I'm gonna cry and bawl my eyes out and hopefully get it over with. I feel too like I'm like squirming in my skin. I don't know how to describe it really. I kind of start like shaking a little bit and I just like want to get out of my skin. Maybe the feeling is claustrophobic. When I was talking about meltdowns, I think on my Instagram, someone asked me if I could record what a meltdown for myself looked like. So I had a meltdown right before Christmas, again having to do with work and time crunch, and also things not going to plan because of COVID, my jars that I put my edible cookie dough in have been completely back ordered. So I had hundreds of Christmas orders to do and no jars. So I was running out of time and I thought I was getting jars delivered and then the shipment got messed up. So that just completely screwed me. I had a big meltdown. And so I was able to record some of it. So I'm going to post it here. It's just going to be 15 seconds or so. It's intense and kind of hard to watch, so if you don't feel comfortable doing that, skip over the next 20 or so seconds. Meltdowns can last for me from, a couple minutes to much longer, maybe 30 minutes. Honestly, having the meltdown isn't even the worst part. It's the aftermath of the meltdown that really is the more terrible experience for me anyways, because after I have the meltdown, I feel really embarrassed and ashamed and I feel really guilty about it. I just feel awkward that like this just happened to me and I'm a grown adult. I can have meltdowns over the silliest, tiniest thing, and I think that goes back to why I feel really embarrassed. Even though I cannot control it, I can't help it no matter what I do. I'm also very, very mentally and physically exhausted. It just completely takes everything out of me. I'm so tired and exhausted. I cannot function. This can last days to weeks, and it's hard to describe because it seems like, well, get over it, but I can't. My brain is just like fried and it needs time to like repair itself. The days and weeks after can be even worse than the meltdown because, like I said, I'm feeling terrible about myself that this happened, and then I'm physically and mentally feeling terrible and exhausted as well. So like I was saying, triggers for meltdowns can be sensory, but for me, it usually has to do with stress or change. So for my work, like I was saying, I'm shipping tons of orders and I need to get to the post office by 5:30. And if I'm looking at the clock and I can tell that I'm not going to get to the post office by 5:30 to get those orders out, I can trigger a meltdown from that because I'm going, oh my gosh, people aren't going to get their orders on time and people are going to be mad, and my brain starts freaking out and I start to breathe heavy and get overwhelmed, and then boom, meltdown. It can also happen when something goes wrong or not to plan, and that goes to the change part of it. So say I had a plan to go out to breakfast with so-and-so. If that gets changed, that can cause me to have a meltdown because now my whole day is completely thrown off. I had everything planned and now it's totally up in the air, and boom, my brain's like, nope, not cool. I'm gonna have a meltdown. It can also happen when I get frustrated with something. So again, this kind of goes back to like not going as planned. Like, so say I like to build like furniture and stuff as a hobby, and say that said piece of furniture isn't going together correctly, or how I envisioned it, and I'm getting frustrated because the screw won't go in right or whatever, and that can cause me to have a meltdown. Some examples from when I was a kid and would have these meltdowns. One time, I guess I was at my grandparents' house, and my grandparents bought my sister and I donuts, and they decided to cut them in half, and wow, I didn't like that. I love to eat, so maybe it was like, whoa, hold on, you're gonna give me a half a donut? I want a whole donut. Whatever it was, that caused me to have a meltdown. Another thing, going back to the frustration, I guess one time I was working on like a very tiny dollhouse, and this was when I was really young, and something wasn't going together correctly in the dollhouse. That made me have a complete meltdown. When I was in elementary school, if I would come to school and our seat assignments had been changed, oh holy crap, huge meltdown. I couldn't handle like sitting next to a new kid, having a different angle looking at the board. Changing seats was horrendous, and my meltdown would be so bad that the teacher would have to change my seat back, because it was like the worst thing that could happen. I'm sure most kids were like, yeah, we get a new seat, get to sit next to a new friend, this is so cool, but my brain was like, heck no. Even like through high school would affect me, but I could control it. It was just like kind of like an internal mini meltdown. So when this would happen to me as a kid, my mom tried several different things to help. Nothing worked, because she thought I just was having a temper tantrum, because remember, I wasn't diagnosed until I was 24. So she had no idea what an autistic meltdown is, and she had no idea I couldn't control it. She thought I was just being a brat. She would try scolding and reprimanding, which of course only made things worse, because I know I've said it a million times, but we can't control it. So just as much as she wanted me to stop, I probably wanted myself to stop, but I was trapped and I couldn't do anything about it. So her being upset just made me more upset. She would try soothing, so she would try giving me a hug, telling me it's okay, you know, stuff like that, but that didn't help, because I think I mentioned I don't want to be touched, so that just made it worse too. So soothing didn't help, reprimanding didn't help. Then she would try to fix the issue if something went wrong, like the dollhouse. She tried to fix the dollhouse, but again, that didn't work. She said the only thing that would work is bringing me up to my room and letting me be alone to just work through the meltdown, which similarly is what works for me now as an adult. So that's always worked for me. She would stand outside my door and make sure that I was okay. It was a safe space for me to work through the meltdown. When I was trying to get diagnosed and first looking into autism, she, told me these things, and she told me that when she would put me up in my room, as early as like 8 years old, I would be screaming at God and asking him, why did you make me like this? My whole life I've wondered why I am the way I am, and getting the autism diagnosis was the answer to my prayers, because he gave me that answer. Ways to avoid a meltdown, if you can, is obviously avoiding your triggers. So for me, it's, not trying to rush doing my orders at the last minute, plan ahead, do them ahead of time, so I'm not constantly watching the clock and feeling like I'm on a timer. Therapy techniques can also help. So my therapist, that really was amazing for me. She taught me some breathing techniques. The square breathing is my favorite. So I don't know if you know what square breathing is, but if you don't, you basically are breathing in a square. You breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and you hold it again for 4 seconds, and you repeat it. That can kind of take your brain off the overstimulation, because you have to really focus on breathing. That's my experience with meltdowns and what autistic meltdowns is. Just kind of think of it as like a computer. When there's too many tabs open and there's too much stuff going on, it freezes. And then to get better, it needs to restart. Thank you so much for tuning into my third Autistically Me video. Again, I'm so sorry for being MIA for so long, and I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon.